Yesterday we were out all day. We went to a beach and did some jet skis. Super fun. We rented 3 jet skis, 2 of us on each of them. We rode the waves, and we're currently at Savy on the beach. Just arrived here. We're about to have some lunch. So this is kind of a spot where you have a bunch of food trucks. You have, they're at the back. I'm vlogging. Yeah. All right, so let me show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so we had a super long day going to Savy on the Bay, and we stayed there for a while. We swam for a really long time. The water was crystal clear. I'll be putting some clips of that right after. And yeah, all in all, it was a really nice day. I'm just walking back home right now, and we're about to go shower, get ready to eat a little bit and get ready to go to sleep because we got a super long day tomorrow. We're gonna go do a tour all around the island. We're gonna be stopping at a monkey reserve. We're gonna be looking at the feeding of the monkeys, and we're gonna be stopping at a lot of cool spots. So I'll be vlogging all of that to show you guys. And this is like kind of like the end of the day, so here's the view that we're getting right now. I'll show you guys. Got this little spot right in front of our house, full of grass. You can just sit down, enjoy the view. Super nice.
Good morning, friends. Jumping in here as I am currently picking out my outfit for the day for today's adventure. And today we are going to be going over to St. Philip. And of course, we will be taking you guys along for all of that. So stay tuned. So the Barbados Wildlife Reserve is actually located in the parish of St. Peter. Sorry, earlier I said St. Philip, but it's actually located in the parish of St. Peter. And it was actually established by a Canadian primatologist. And so when they first founded the center, it was just a research center in 1982. And then it was expanded into a wildlife reserve in 1985, and it has been that ever since then. So as we first entered the reserve here, we started off by getting our tickets, of course, and then we were just waiting at the entrance, and we got a little introduction by this super cute red-footed tortoise who just came to say hi to us. Now, as you will notice over the course of our time in this reserve, there is a crazy amount of these tortoises. There are so many roaming free. But in addition to these tortoises, this reserve also houses iguanas, chickens, peacocks, birds, snakes, ducks, and monkeys, of course. Now, what's really cool about this reserve is that a majority of these animals do roam freely. There are a few that are in fenced enclosures. However, it's really nice to be able to just walk around and be one with nature and be able to interact with these animals and be in the same environment as them. Now, we really needed to watch our step as we were walking on this little stone path because there were so many turtles. And if you were not careful, you would accidentally step over one of them. Navigating this reserve is quite simple. All you have to do is follow these brick paths that lead you from one section of the reserve to another. And all the bricks that form these paths were actually recycled from sugar factories, and the buildings themselves inside the wildlife reserve were constructed from coral rock, which was excavated from nearby sugarcane fields. I think we got really lucky because we came on a day where there were barely any other people in the reserve with us. So I feel like the animals felt extra comfortable to come out and just lounge around, and they were really walking on the paths just as much as we were. We had visited this wildlife reserve, my family and I, back in 2019, and when we did come at that point, there were a ton of monkeys just roaming around everywhere. And so we were hoping to find some this time. Honestly, we did not see that many roaming free. We were really hunting for them the whole time we were walking around the reserve, but unfortunately we did not see that many monkeys. But there were a lot of turtles, and we got to see this really cool Cuban iguana here. Alright, so next we headed into the section with the birds, and this is my brother being silly. Now, the section with the tropical birds as well as the section with the ducks are two of the areas where the animals are caged inside of this wildlife reserve. And I do have to add that the wildlife reserve itself was absolutely beautiful, and just the whole place, the premise, the architecture of it was so beautiful, so well done, and just being surrounded by nature and just hearing the sounds of nature as you are walking through, surrounded by chickens, peacocks, and turtles and everything. It's just such a wonderful experience, and we are so happy we did this. Now, this little inside section here did have a very funny combination of animals. There was a big cage of like guinea pigs, and then there was also like snakes and lizards. So it was just a funny combination to see. Also located on the premises of this wildlife reserve is the Grenade Hall signal station. This signal station was originally constructed in 1819, and it was one of a group of signal stations that was used for communication across the island, mainly to warn of approaching ships as well as slave rebellions. Inside the signal station is sort of a little museum where they have a little bit of history on the signal towers across Barbados, as well as some artifacts that are exhibited that were actually uncovered during some site renovations that happened here. And of course, as we were heading to the exit of the first section of the wildlife reserve, we finally saw some monkeys. Now, apparently the reason why we were not seeing the monkeys was because they were being fed on the opposite side of the wildlife reserve, and we just missed the feeding completely, so all the monkeys were in one place while we were in the other, essentially. And then we continued our journey into the second part of the forest. We immediately found this little cave, which we were looking around inside, seeing if we could find anything. It was mostly rocks, but we actually thought it was much deeper than we expected. So we walked to the end, realized it wasn't really deep, and then just came right back out. And it was also super humid inside the cave, and it was already 30 degrees outside. And so just imagine it was even hotter and more humid inside the cave. This second part of the reserve was really just more of a forest, and so there weren't really any animals to see, so we really just hiked around for a while. And funny story, on our way out of this forest, we actually got lost a little bit. We just were following the signs wrong and tried to find our path out, and we kept going in circles for a little bit, but we ended up making it out. After completing our tour of the wildlife reserve, we headed across the street to Farley Hill. So Farley Hill is a small forest of mahogany trees that sits on the top of a hill and overlooks the Atlantic coast. And today it is actually a really popular picnic spot. And fun fact for you guys, this park is called Farley Hill because the ruins of the old Farley Hill House mansion actually still live in this park. The initial construction of this mansion began in 1818, and for a while it was seen as one of the most impressive mansions in Barbados. Hence why they ended up naming this area after the house. We just finished a long hike inside of the Barbados Wildlife Reserve. We saw so much wildlife. We saw a few monkeys, peacocks, chickens, ducks, alligators, really a bit of everything. And now we are across the street at Farley Hill. We just went to look at the view, and now we are going to go find food because we are all starving. Alright guys, currently we are headed over to the Oistins Fish Fry, happening every Friday night I believe. So we are all heading there. We just went home to change after being at the beach all day, and so we will see you there. The Oistins Fish Fry is really just a night to celebrate and enjoy freshly grilled seafood, local music, dancing, and craft stalls where you can buy clothing as well as souvenirs. So we arrived a little bit before the entertainment started, so we started off by eating, but a bit later in the night is when all the entertainment began on the main stage. So there are a few solo performers, and then there's also moments where people from the audience are invited to come on stage and dance and just enjoy.